Welcome back, everyone. This is Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Coffee, or just Firearms Coffee. And I'm Monolito, your host. And I've got another Treaty Oak bourbon from Dripping Springs, Texas. This one is actually their bourbon. So this one is their grain to glass expression, and it's called Ghost Hill Texas Bourbon. And there's a whole history and story about Ghost Hill and Treaty Oak. There's huge oak tree in Austin called the Treaty Oak. I won't get into the story. You can Google that. But when you take a tour, they tell you all about it, and they tell you a little history about why they named their distillery Treaty Oak and why they named the bourbon Ghost Hill Texas Bourbon. But this is distilled and barreled in Dripping Springs, Texas by Treaty Oak. I picked this up back in February when I did the tour. And just a little information about it. And if you want more information, you can check out. I'll put a link either in the video or in the description. There's more information in that video pictures of the distillery and things like that. But this is aged for 2 years in Texas. It is 57% corn, 32% wheat, and 11% barley. So this is a wheated bourbon. They use Texas wheat, yellow No. 1 corn, and it's aged, of course, in white oak, and it's char No. 3 barrels. So in order to call it bourbon, it has to be new oak, new white American oak. So this is their bourbon whiskey. So I've let this open up for a little bit, about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I put a whiskey hat on there. So it's a nice color. Dark copper type color, dark amber, really pretty. Now I know this one just from me asking questions at the distillery. This is non-chill filtered, no color added, so it's natural color. Aged in Texas, distilled in Texas. Everything was sourced in Texas, the grain and everything. So let's nose this and taste it. And this one has got some really good, nice legs on it. You can see, try to see, it's really sticking to the glass there. So let's go ahead and see what this smells like, what it tastes like. And I did forget to mention this is a 95 proof, 47.5% ABV. So I won't be adding any water to this. It's under 100 proof. I usually don't like to add water unless it's 100 proof or higher, because most of the lower proof, at least for me, they're really tame and welcoming. So I don't need to bring it down any further. So this one, there's something about when you've had multiple bourbons from Texas or any whiskeys from Texas, there's a different type of barrel note than you get from like a Kentucky bourbon or any other state. And I think that just comes from how hot it gets here in Texas, especially in the summers. So I get that note like from a Balcones or trying to think of some of the other distilleries I've visited, Garrison Brothers, so some of those bourbons, most of them have a very similar note, that their wood note is distinct from any other wood note that I get from other types of whiskeys. And it's a lot more pungent. And I get that on here. So it's that Texas wood smell, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's really nice though. And then I get the those bourbon notes, caramel, cinnamon, brown sugar, those types of things. And I've heard a lot of people get cherry and that type of thing from bourbon. I've yet to get that, but everybody's palates and nasal receptors and all that are different, so it's all subjective anyway. But it smells really good. I'm a really big fan of Texas whiskey. I live in Texas, and that's probably, I don't know, some kind of bias, but from the distilleries I've visited, there's some really nice whiskeys out there. Ranger Creek, they have that same note. As I'm sitting here smelling this, I'm remembering distillery names. A little bit of just got a little bit of that alcohol burn. But it's a Texas bourbon. All right, let's go ahead and taste this. Oh yeah. So you get that wood spice note. It's almost the same on most of the Texas bourbons. Not saying that all Texas bourbon tastes the same, because they don't. There's a big difference between this and a Balcones and a Ranger Creek or Garrison Brothers, but that wood spice, that it's really dominant on most of those whiskeys, at least for me. But I like it. I like that kind of kick in the back of the throat you get from that spice. But it's not overpowering. It's not this. If somebody's not a first time bourbon drinker, this wouldn't choke them out or knock them out or anything like that. But it's very, very good. Coats the tongue, but then as it's finishing, kind of dries it out a little bit. So it's like just pulling the moisture off of your tongue. But it's not bad. It's not in a bad way that it's doing that. It's just it is what it is. I think that's from the barrels. I'm guessing could be from the age. I've kind of heard that from younger whiskeys that they're dry. But then I've heard that from older whiskeys too, so I've never really had anything older than 12 years old, so I can't really comment on that. Finish is not, it's a medium, kind of a medium finish, I wouldn't even say too long, because it doesn't stay that long with you. It just kind of, you have that barrel spice and a slight caramel, and then it just kind of goes away. It's a little sweet when it first hits the tongue as it's going across your palate, but then that spice kicks in towards the back of the palate and into the finish. I really like that. This is a good bourbon. All right, if you've had Treaty Oak, any of the Treaty Oak expressions, Ghost Hill bourbon whiskey, been there, done a tasting there. And they have other things at Treaty Oak as well. They do gin, and I think they did vodka too. I know they had a rum. They don't sell it out of the distillery. Matter of fact, I think they stopped doing the rum, but you can still find it in stores. And I have a bottle of it, and it's a pretty decent rum. I like it. It's good straight, or mix it with a little bit of soda, or however you like to drink your rum. But anyway. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed, and cheers.